Hey guys, welcome back to Delaware Acre. I am making some more room in my freezer. I made this video, I actually filmed this quite a bit ago. You can see I'm wearing a sweater there. But I am trying to make room in my freezer for the 2024 garden season. And that blackberry jam turned out really well. So I wanted to go ahead and just use the rest of my blackberries for that recipe. Now, initially, when I froze these blackberries, I flash froze them on a cookie sheet and they were all separate. And then when I took them out of the freezer to make the original blackberry jam recipe, they kind of thawed a little bit, and then I put them back in the freezer because I wanted to just make sure that this is what I wanted to do, and now they're like a big brick. So I initially started out with my Le Creuset, my big Le Creuset cast iron enameled pot, and it just wasn't big enough, so I switched to this big stock pot. So like I said, I had taken the same recipe and I went ahead and did the math with how much weight of, I did the math based on the weight of how many blackberries I had by weight. So I ended up having 3,800 grams of blackberries, which calculated out to 3,200 grams of sugar and 150 mLs of lemon juice. Now, you will see how this goes. You'll be able to tell by the title of this video that you cannot alter jam and jelly recipes. You cannot alter the amount of sugar that you put in them, and I know this, and I tried to do it anyway. It just seemed like a ridiculous, you can see it on the scale here, it is a ridiculous amount of sugar. And I thought to myself, there's no way that this recipe can actually use this much sugar and not be able to be cut down. So I did. I lessened the amount of sugar that I was supposed to put in this recipe, and you'll see how it turns out. And here it's been a little bit, and you can see that the blackberries have reduced down. They're kind of turning into like a berry mush here. There are some big frozen chunks in there still. Okay, so I got my big old Le Creuset back out, and it's already dirty, so I might as well use it, right? So now here comes the super fun and super tedious part, which is why I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this with a 10 times recipe. But to me, I feel like this is worth it. And that is to sieve out, put it through this fine mesh sieve, get all these seeds out. And like I said, it's very tedious and it takes a really long time. It took me a really long time, but I wanted to get the seeds out because something about seeds in jam, jelly, I am just not a fan. But you want to make sure that you're scraping all of that pulp off the bottom. The pulp is also what you want. The only thing you want to get out is the seeds, but it takes a really long time, like a really long time. So my husband came up after a little bit, was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I have to do this whole pot." And he was like, "Have fun with that." This is gonna take forever. Look how much I have in this pot. It's like full up to like here.
Good luck with that.
bath. So we're actually headed to the gym. So I'm gonna put the lid on this and then I'll come back and heat this up and get it in some jars. Okay, back from the gym. Here's our mixture, jam, jelly. I'm gonna put this on low and grab a, ooh, it's so pretty. Tastes so good too, so good. Recipe says to, dun, 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 after it's sieved, turn to high heat, bring to a rolling boil for 90 seconds. 105 degrees Celsius, remove from heat. That's for few drops. I'll get my jars ready. Here is our mixture, our seeds and some pulp. Not really sure what to do with this. I think I could probably cover this with water and simmer it and make some juice. I don't know. What do you guys do with the pulp? Let me know. Leave me a comment. I had already washed these. I'm gonna put something down underneath. I'm actually gonna put newspaper down underneath because that way you can just throw it away. Probably shouldn't put that next to an open flame. Probably not the best idea. Do it like that. Checked all my rims. Big stuff washed. That stuff's going in the dishwasher. I'm not washing little stuff. That can wait. This has blackberry residue on it, so I have to wash it like a load of towels separate. So that's why I did newspaper instead. Still waiting for this to come to a boil. Yeah. Okay, starting to get a little heated up. You can see the foam on the top there. It's just a little bit. I'm not really worried about it. We need to get up to 105 degrees Celsius. So here we are a few minutes later. We're at a boil. Not quite up to 105 just yet. And I was putting my utensils in that in the bowl with the seeds because my countertops are like the, what are they, Formica or what's that stuff, fiberglass from the early 90s. So they stain very easily. So I was trying to limit the amount of red that was touching my countertops. So at this point I have added the sugar and the lemon juice. I'm not sure what happened to that clip, but at this point, now that it's a rolling boil, you're supposed to put it on a cold plate. I'm using the back of my daughter's school lunchbox bento. This is a bento ice pack, but anyway, the point is it's supposed to go onto something cold, and if you put it onto the cold surface, it cools the jam off so that you can see if it's ready to be jarred. Where you put your finger through it, and it's supposed to leave. It's not supposed to fill back in. It's supposed to divide and look like gelatinous. So I thought I had gotten it to a point where it was doing that. Here you can see it's not doing so great with it. I tried several more times and then just decided to go ahead and can it. Okay, and you guys have seen me fill canning jars before. It's kind of, sometimes I guess you could see it's like a ASMR. It's to me, I like watching people do it, so I add the footage in. But here I am just cleaning off my rims. I use a little bit of apple cider vinegar and put my lids on. See that I got red stuff, still got red stuff on my counter, and after several days of wiping it, it starts to lift up a little bit, but I still try to prevent it. I get my rings and my lids on here. First batch into the water bath. Jams and jellies are acidic enough that you can water bath can them, and here is the final result. I told you, you cannot mess with the amount of sugar in a jam or jelly recipe. So it's more like a syrup at this point, and I'm very frustrated. So I end up taking a few days to try to figure out what I wanted to do with this jam, and I finally figured it out. But I was so frustrated, it took me a little bit to come back to this. It was very hard to admit that I had done something wrong and I'd wasted these lids, I wasted my time, but At the same time, it was a learning process, and I've never made jam in such a large batch before. So I decided to go ahead and admit defeat, swallow my pride, and go ahead and scrape everything back out into that big old Le Creuset pot and wash all these little jars up and turn everything red in my kitchen again. And on a positive note, the contents inside the jars is still edible. You can still use it on your pancakes or your toast or your baking projects. It's just more liquidy. So it just didn't set. So it's still edible. It's just not the right consistency for a jam. So that's a positive thing here. So I did not waste 10 times worth of recipe with all of that sugar and all of those blackberries and all that time to strain out the seeds. But it was a little frustrating that it didn't set, but at the same time, I was very happy that I could still salvage some of my hard work at this point. So I have no idea if this is the right thing to do to try to fix this. I emailed Pomona's and haven't heard back from them, but it's the weekend. So I am going to treat this like as if I'm just doing regular low sugar jam. So I am going to add my calcium water to the heated up mixture, and then I'm going to add my pectin to my room temperature mixture, and then I'm going to mix them together and see if that fixes this. Calcium water from the fridge. Give this a good shake. I have no idea if this is going to work. If this doesn't work, I give up. I'll just can it however it turns out. All right, so 4 teaspoons. Does this have to be boiling? Okay, doesn't have to be boiling. So I'm tripling this. So I'm doing 6. Again, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm doing 6 into here. 1, 2, and 6. Let's bring this up to a boil. Okay, we're at a full rolling boil here. And this is like sludge now. I don't know how well this is going to work. Back up to a boil here. This is the back of my daughter's school lunch box ice pack. Yep. If it leaves the divot there, it means it's ready. But it's a lot thicker. All right. Here we go again. I like these measuring cups with the little point on them because they get right in the corner of the pan. All out. It was much thicker this time, and actually got rid of, what are these, 8 ounces each, about 16 ounces of fluid by evaporating some of it with the boil and by adding the pectin to thicken it. So I'm going to get these jars cleaned up, wipe them down with some apple cider vinegar, and get some lids and rings on them and get them back in this thing so I can be done with this project. And here is the final product here. So ended up with 12 4-ounce jars and 9 8-ounce jars here, little half pint jars, and you can see it's a little bit thicker. I did reserve back one jar from the original canning episode from the previous recipe when I cut the sugar down. And yeah, you can see the difference in the two consistencies here. The first is very thin and did not set. It's more like a syrup and not even. And then the second one did set very nicely. And I will say that it is delicious both ways, texture wise. If you're looking for something to spread with a knife or a spoon, you definitely want the thicker. If you are looking for a low sugar recipe, I would suggest to use Pomona's pectin, which is what ended up saving the day here in the end. Pomona's pectin uses much less sugar. So yeah, thanks for hanging out and watching me correct a recipe that I messed up. And I have some of it in my yogurt here at my work desk with my little kid spoon that I keep in my work desk for the days that I forget to bring a spoon. Anywho, thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more recipes and more content from garden and in the kitchen and preserving and yeah, just feeding the family. So until the next video, thanks for watching. Hope you guys are well. Take care. Bye.